Hi everybody, this is Hawk Nelson. Welcome to week 4 of Analyze This.
Oh my god!
I was just recording the game.
How adorable.
Okay, one of us can have.
Today we'll be going over this week's matches against CLG Black. With under an hour of gameplay, it concluded in 2 victories for Team Fusion. The first thing I want to look at from Game 1 is our early game rotations. We use our stronger early game laning phases to put ourselves way ahead in the early game. The first thing I want to look at isn't a play, but more of how we pulled off the early game. By sending Sion down to the bot lane with Leona, we could send Sivir up top to get an early lead and experience, which will make our early game teamfights a lot stronger. The trade-off to this is Sion won't be as strong in the mid game, but his ability to CS from far away makes it much more worth it, as can be seen by the CS discrepancy. Going on now to where Nintendo ganks up in top, we get a kill which puts Sivir even farther ahead in experience and brings Haukeye even further down. He burns his flash and still dies, and he can't even teleport back to lane. All this time that Haukeye spends dead and walking back to lane, Sion is getting experience and gold, which puts our solo laner a lot farther ahead than theirs. The next big thing that I want to look at from Game 1 is our mid-game rotations at the 10-minute mark. It shows our superior objective and tower control. The next integral part of the game is our rotations when the outer towers start to fall right before the 10-minute mark. Due to the control our bot lane has, we can sneak in a dragon that already puts ourselves ahead thanks to the buff it gives. More importantly, however, we trade bot and top tower respectively, but more importantly we also get a kill. Killing Haukeye again gives Sion an even bigger advantage than he already had, but also thanks to Maokaie's death we are able to take bot inner turret as well. Let's look at how we got that kill though. If you take a look at the vision on each side of the map, you'll see they're relatively even in terms of vision control. However, while Nidalee is getting the dragon, Thinkard shows himself in the top lane. Thanks to that, Fusion now knows that we are able to dive the Haukeye because Lee Sin won't be there to counter the dive. Thanks to this, we take a dragon, 2 towers, and a kill, all for just our top outer turret. This solidifies our control over early game as we start to head into the mid game. The next big play I want to look at is a team fight at the 15-minute mark, which establishes our control going into the late game. This doesn't look too safe for Fusion as we try to make an exit after pushing into the mid inner turret. We only have 4 members while CLG are trying to flank with a number advantage. The Nidalee Spear does incredible damage to Lulu as we run away, which is important to note for later. LeBlanc tries to jump in and make quick work of Nidalee, but it isn't the target she wants. As you can see, Nidalee is the only target she can get to, but it would be much more ideal for her to burst down our high priority Sivir. Leona clips a few targets with Solar Flare, which lets Sion come in with his unstoppable onslaught. Thanks to Sivir's ult, On the Hunt, the bonus 60% movement speed allows Sion to collide with CLG before they can even react. We quickly burst down the Lulu before she can even ult, which is really important because if she got Wild Growth off onto Haukeye or Lee Sin, the increased health and aura slow could really hurt our chances in this fight. CLG starts to run away because they have no more CC, but watch as they line up for Sion's decimating smash. They get knocked up for 1.25 seconds, which lets our backline get free damage onto the Haukeye and he falls. We go a bit nuts after this and Sivir dies to the graves unfortunately thanks to a quick combo and double crit, but this fight establishes that we even win fights 4v5 and that the game is in our control.
Alright.
Is that hinting something?
Fusion fighting.
Ooh.
Fusion fighting.
The last big play that I want to look at from Game 1 is a team fight at our mid tower. CLG engages on us, but we turn it around into another successful team fight. CLG start another fight on us when we are 4v5. Once again, they try to focus the Nidalee, but it really isn't something to pursue because she's so fast with her Pounce Prowl combo. Lee Sin finds himself in way too deep as the cavalry come in the form of Sivir and Kennen, and by now this just spells bad news for CLG. This whole time, CLG's carries have been focused on Fusion's 2 tanks, and now Kennen's Slicing Maelstrom decimates CLG when in combination with Sivir's On the Hunt. Overall, this is just a fight more of bad targeting on CLG's part. If they had decided to instead either disengage when they couldn't find a target or be a bit more patient until they could possibly find the Sivir, this fight would have gone a lot better for them. From here on out, Fusion is even in more control, and this Baron buff we take will solidify our dominance as we end the game out 5 minutes from here.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they pick for mid. Like
they pick poke champions, let's just
at,
pick Leona.
at this point, there's nothing they can pick. They don't play the Leona. It doesn't matter what they pick. We win this draft 100%. If they want to go poke comp, we go hard engage. We already have the Sejuani. We have the Scion.
Yeah, we already have Scion engaged.
So literally, there's nothing they can pick. So don't worry about that. We have everything planned out. So we have the hard engage. If they decide to play this Nidalee top, doesn't matter. We have the Scion. Scion wins that matchup. If they decide to play that Nidalee jungle, we have Sejuani. Who cares?
The first big play I want to look at from Game 2 is our level 1 start, which puts Fusion on the road to success right from the start. The first thing I want to talk about from this game is our level 1 strategy. When Fusion sees that CLG is doing a deep invade into our blue side jungle, we immediately react by sending Scion and Sejuani to CLG's blue buff. Ordinarily, we would just assume this to be a buff trade and that would be the end of it, but CLG only goes this far to get deep vision down, which indicates their strong desire to get information on where our duo lane is starting. Accordingly, our duo lane sits in mid lane and takes a unique route to the bot lane to deny as much information as possible. Giving Scion the blue buff also gives him a huge advantage in the top lane. Over the rest of the game, note the amount of pressure Scion puts on the lane during these early minutes. Putting Scion this far ahead guarantees a victory in the top lane now that he can spam his abilities for early harass and farming. Denying a buff from Nidalee also puts her very far behind, especially for her early clears. The distinct advantage Nidalee has over Sejuani in the jungle matchup is her jungle clearing capabilities. Nidalee is capable of farming a lot quicker, which allows her to get an experience advantage and contest buffs and objectives to deny the Sejuani. By negating a normal start for Nidalee, we negate the early game weaknesses of our team comp and start off with a huge advantage.
Really is going to be pushed around like ever. He gets to spam E, and I think his mana just regenerates even if he presses E on cooldown. Then Tender in an easy spot. I just really like Fusion's start here, and again, I don't think the Eastern blue buff will ever have a chance to be stolen by Think Card because I want to say Fusion's dual lane could keep pressure.
Just late swap, late swap. They might predict it, but that's okay. Just late swap, and if we do get the 2v2, that's fine. But late swap and 5 point in the early game.
Late swap or we're 5 point into late swap?
Yeah, 5 point.
They could stack somewhere careful because they
just 5 point. Just 5 point and then late swap.
This next big play I want to look at is a fight in the river, which establishes Fusion's control over objectives for the rest of the game. The main thing I want to address before this fight is the vision control. If you'll notice, CLG only have 2 wards through all of bot side, one in the tri-bush and one in the bush directly across. Fusion, though, have control over the entire river. Due to this, we know the Nidalee is coming right away, and this allows us to be ready for the gank. If Thinkard wanted to pressure bot so badly, he should have used the vision he had to his advantage, and gone through tri-bush for a lane gank. This would have kept Fusion in the dark on Nidalee's location, and the best thing you can do as a jungler is to keep your opponent guessing as to where you are. Immediately once Nidalee shows in river, Fusion Sejuani heads straight down to counter the fight. In turn, our own bot lane is ready for the Nidalee too, so she gets immediately collapsed on with the help of a quick Scion teleport. From there, we have an immediate number advantage, making the rest of this fight relatively easy. LeBlanc comes in from the flank and is a lot more effective than the Karthus in terms of presence in this fight. Granted, the strength of Karthus lies in the global presence of his ultimate, but if you look at his items, he doesn't do any damage yet. At level 1, Requiem only does 250 base damage plus 60% of what little AP the Karthus had. Compare this to the direct presence the LeBlanc had as well as the amount of spells she got off, and it's clear who made the right decision. The rest of this fight is straightforward, but unfortunately Sivir dies at the tower. If you notice, she uses Spell Shield on Maokai's Twisted Advance. If she had saved her shield and blocked the Arcane Smash or the Sapling instead, there would be a much greater chance of her survival. From here, Fusion take the dragon, and what starts off as an aggressive move by CLG turns into a big play for Fusion heading into the mid game.
But LeBlanc was there in person.
Yeah.
So
2 kills in that fight.
Made the difference of the 1 kill. Now they're going to turn towards the dragon on Fusion's side. So Fusion just spike up to a 1.2k gold lead without having to take any turrets just yet.
You and Nian should watch it together. Whenever the games are live, you should watch the support and he should watch the AD, and you guys should talk about it. That's how you guys learn really well, because you see what they're doing every step on the laning. You guys just think, holy shit, why are we not doing this? Like the level 2, like the power spikes and all that. Like how they want to shove the lane, how they move, how they support stone, how the AD carry moves up with them, right? It's like a rhythm, like it's like a dance. The support moves up and the AD carry moves up together. It's like they're constantly on the same page, moving around together, right? In lane, making sure the support is always in the same position towards the enemy.
The last big play I want to look at from this week's match against CLG Black is a 22-minute Baron call. This isn't the end of the game, but I want to go over it and discuss why we shouldn't have made this call. I wanted to review this quickly to discuss why Baron calls like this are too risky and should be avoided at all costs. Fusion had just killed both CLG's jungler and their AD carry, so this looked like a great idea on paper. However, the rest of CLG shows up to disrupt the Baron and it turns out less than ideal for Fusion. This starts out with LeBlanc making the right decision to move out of the pit to harass enemies away from the Baron, but she's too low on health and mana to be as aggressive as she would like to be. This is the first big mistake. Considering how much of Fusion's gold is on her, LeBlanc not being able to release her full damage output makes us considerably weaker. As CLG engages, keep your eye on Sivir. She gets exhausted and gets targeted heavily by Alistar and Maokai. This whole time Baron is attacking her as well. Now both of Fusion's primary damage dealers, Sivir and LeBlanc, are useless during this fight, and despite a superb counter engage from Sejuani, Fusion isn't able to turn this fight around and loses 2 members.
Kill. And they're going to get that one to think card. So finally, a bit of good things happening here for CLB. A 2-for-1 on the Baron attempt of Fusion.
Yep, exactly. They didn't even get the Baron either on Fusion's side. So right now...
Thank you for watching this week's episode of Analyze This. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to our YouTube page. Once again, I'm Hawk Nelson, and thanks for watching.